Good morning, students. Now, so far we learned coordination and response. It's biology. This first concept we learned. Now we are learning about the second concept. Second concept is what? On a sense organ, which is that eye. Okay. So eye is a sense organ of sight. Is it clear? Now, how the eye is getting coordinated with the brain? Let us learn now. Now you will see the diagram of eye here. Is it clear? Now this is a single eyeball. Now this eyeball here, the outer layer of this eyeball is called as sclera. The outer layer is called as sclera. Below that sclera is nothing but your white part of your eye. Is it clear? Now the next below that sclera you can see conjunctiva. Clear? Conjunctiva. This conjunctiva is the layer covering the eyeball. Is it clear? Now here this conjunctiva, we get a disease on this conjunctiva called as conjunctivitis. Is it clear? Now what is that? That is nothing but metastasized. You know, red, the eye becomes red in color. Is it clear? Now here below this there is a pupil. The pupil is nothing but a black spot. Is it clear? Through which the light passes through and forms an image on the retina. Is it clear? Now there are two liquids in this now. One is called as aqueous humor. One liquid is called as aqueous humor and vitreous humor. Vitreous humor. Okay? There are two liquids here. So the light ray passes through these two liquids and then get reflected on the real and inverted image is formed on the retina. Is it clear? Now, what is it? Receptors present in this now. That means these receptors are nothing but rods and cones. What are they called as? Rods and cones. Okay. How many rods are there? There are 120 million rods are there. How many cones are there? There are 6 million. Where they are present? They are present in the yellow spot. You can see that this yellow spot is called as fovea. This is called as fovea. In this, you can see they are embedded in this. Okay. Now, what is the function of this rod now? Now, all rods are sensitive to dim light. So, I can say RD. Okay. They are sensitive to dim light. And now, cones are sensitive to bright light. Is it clear? So, the rods are sensitive to dim light and cones are sensitive to bright light. Is it clear? Now, there are large number of cones present in this yellow spot. Is it clear? Now, you can see a bunch of nerves arrive here in this particular region. This is called as optic nerves. The place where these optic nerves are arising there is no rods and cones. So, this spot we call this as blind spot. What we call this as? Blind spot. Blind spot, where rods and cones are completely absent. Okay, you cannot see, no image is formed. Fine. Now, there are here what happens here? The reflected rays, that means the rays coming from the outside passes on to this lens here. This is the lens here. This lens and get reflected on the retina of the eyeball. Is it clear? Now, if there is a defect in this eye, so what is that? We'll see. Just find out. Now, you can see there are defects of eye now. Normally when we see the object, when we see the distinct object, the convexity of the lens increases. Now, when you see, that is called when you see the distance object. When you are seeing the nearer object, the convexity of the lens decreases. Is it clear? Now, this is what called as accommodation of eye. Is it clear? What is accommodation of eye means? This is a definition for that. Okay. Now, let us see now what happens here. Here, when we so that means when we see the defects now, defects of eye. defects of vision. You can say vision. I say instead of eye, I can say defect of vision. Now there are different types here. Now first one is myopia. Myopia is also called as short-sightedness. Short-sightedness. The next one is called hypermetropia. Hypermetropia. It is called as long-sightedness. Long-sightedness. And we have presbyopia. Presbyopia. Nyctalopia. Nyctalopia. We have cataract. Diabetic retinopathy. Glaucoma. Okay, so these are the different types. In this, what we learn in this, in your class, you have only these two. Okay, now I'll tell you what is this also if I find time. Now, short-sightedness. In this short-sightedness, what happens? I'll just tell you now. Let us learn one by one. Now, why this is happening? Now, in short-sightedness, here your eyeball is bulged. You got my point? Your eyeball is bulged. Why it is bulged? That depends on your gene also, or it might come because you are watching TV, too much TV or mobile or colored screens of the computer, all this, so that your this has been increased now. Correct? Now, when you see, that is what, when you see the distinct object, the convexity of the lens decreases. Now, you see, if you see here, this is your myopia. I am just talking about myopia. In myopia, what happens? Now, this is our eyeball. Okay, the rays coming from the normal rays, it falls on the retina. This is called as retina. Correct. Now, in case of myopia, what happens? The eyeball is bulged. The eyeball is bulged. So, the rays coming from the reflected rays coming from the outside, the image is formed in front of retina. In front of the retina. Correct? So how we are correcting this? We are using concave lens. What we are using to correct this? We are using concave lens. Correct? You understood? Now, if I put a concave lens here, this is called concave lens. Concave lens. Now the rays is corrected. Correct? Now this vision we call it as minus. If you ask somebody what is your vision, is a plus or minus, they will tell it is plus or minus. If it is minus, that means myopia. Okay, minus means what? It's myopia. In myopia, what happens here? You can see, that means what? Your here your eyeball is bulged, so that the image is formed in front of retina. Correct? So that has been corrected by using convex lens. Is it clear? Next we will go to hypermetropia. In hypermetropia, in hypermetropia, this is your eye. You can see the normal, this is a normal vision. Now in case of hypermetropia, your eyeball is condensed, pulled. Okay, the eyeball is pulled. So if you see, it is, this image is there in your textbook. Here the image is formed beyond the retina. Okay, the image is formed beyond the retina. Clear? Now how this has to be corrected now? Now what lens we have to use? Now I'll just tell you. So we use convex lens. What we use? If you go to doctor or this one, they will test for you. and they give you convex lens. So the image is corrected. Now this is called convex lens. Convex lens. Is it clear? Correct? Here the eyeball is condensed. That means it is pulled. Who is pulling that? Who is pulling that? This here we have ciliary muscles here. This ciliary muscles are pulled. Pull the eyeball. Okay. Now if you see here, now here if you see this this will become plus here. Now if you ask them, you can see what is your vision. They say is a plus or a minus. Okay. The next one is called presbyopia. Presbyopia, who will get? No, the people who are 40 years above. I am getting that. So I have this. See, I am wearing this specs. This is called presbyopia. That means I have both the defect. I have both. I have metropia as well as hypermetropia. So this is called as presbyopia. Who will get? The people who are at the age 40 years and above, they will get this. Okay. Well, what happened in that? The elasticity of the this has become loosened. So that is how this has happened. It's because of age. As age is going on, elasticity decreases. Is it clear? Okay. For example, when you buy new socks, it will be very tight. Correct? After 1 month or 2 months, after mother is washing several times, the socks becomes loose. You start putting a rubber band for them. Is it clear? Okay. Now, so that this is the response of the eye to the brain. Is it clear? Now, what are the receptors here? Rods and cones. How many rods are there? There are 120 million rods are there. How many cones are there? There are 6 million cones are there. So they help in vision. Okay. Now this completes here. Now let's go to the next part, which is that hormones. Now the next part will go to that. It's called as endocrine. I'll remove this. Endocrine system. We go to endocrine system. Is it clear? I'll show you one by one now. Now you can ask me a question, sir. Why some people's eye color is different? Okay, that depends on the iris of the eye. Okay, iris decides the color of the eye. Okay, some eyes are little like a cat eye or brown eye or something like that. So all these are because of the iris present in the corner of the eye. It is present in this corner, this corner of the eye. Okay, that decides the color of the eye. Is it clear now? Now let us go to the endocrine system. Now, endocrine system. Now, endocrine system is controlled by hormones. Okay, hormones. Hormones are of two types: exocrine gland and endocrine gland. Endocrine gland. Okay, we have two glands here, exocrine and in exocrine we have, that means here the difference between exocrine and endocrine, we have a dirt. I will draw this clear. This is a tube. Okay, through this tube the liquid passes out. Okay, now this is called duct. D-U-C-T, duct. Okay, now this is the gland here. Now for example, exocrine gland. Exocrine gland is a gland where the dirt is present. For example, sweat gland. Sweat gland. Mammary gland. That is milk gland. Okay, milk gland. Next, sebaceous gland. This is called oil gland. Some people, you can see their face looks oily. Okay, this is sebaceous gland, sweat gland. Okay, now some of these are called the exocrine gland. Okay, now whereas endocrine gland. In endocrine gland, first one is pituitary gland. Pituitary gland. Next one is thyroid gland. Thyroid gland. Next is parathyroid gland. Pancreas. adrenaline. Next is testosterone. And in case of female, ovary. From the testis you get ovary. Okay. Okay. Now in this we have testosterone. Testis. I can say where you can see this is exhibited in this way. I'll just show you that diagram also, so that it will be better. Understand better. You can see here. You can see here. You can see all these glands are there. Now where they are present also I'll show you. Now here ovary, we have estrogen and progesterone. There are two hormones in a female. Okay. Estrogen and progesterone. Okay. Now there are two hormones, like progesterone and estrogen. Okay, there are two hormones here. These two hormones in the female and testosterone in the male. Okay, that means from testis. I can write this as testis. Testis is testosterone. Okay. Now, okay, let us see now. Adrenal gland gives adrenaline. Pancreas. Okay. Adrenal gland gives adrenaline. Okay. Now let us see now one by one. Now pituitary gland is called master gland. Where it is present? Exactly is present above your eyebrow and below your forebrain here. Okay, exactly here. That's what you can see. Some Hindus they keep Botu here. So that is a place where the pituitary gland. That means it's a master gland. So that controls the other glands. That means master gland. This is called a master gland. Now thyroid gland is present on the side of our neck here. You can see that thyroid gland. And if you see the thyroid and parathyroid, they are present next to next. Okay. Now pancreas. You can see pancreas here. In pancreas there are two. What is that? Insulin and glucagon. Insulin and glucagon. Okay. These are the two hormones present there. This is also called as islets of Langerhans. Now, next in adrenal gland, they are present exactly above the kidney, low color spot. You can see that kidney. So they are called adrenal gland. So they release a hormone called adrenaline. Okay. Next, we have testis here. In the case of male, testis. From testis, you have testosterone. Whereas in the case of female, it's a ovary. In ovary, we have estrogen and progesterone. Is it clear? These are the two hormones. Okay. Now let us go through what it is. Now, what is it? Adrenal is very important. It's adrenal gland. The adrenal gland is also called as emergency hormone. What do you call this as? Adrenaline is also called as emergency hormone. Why we call it as emergency hormone? They release during fear. That means these hormones are released in our body when you are in fear. Okay. Now, so it is also called as FFF hormone. That means what? Fight, flight, flight. Okay. This is a hormone. Correct. Next one, pancreas. In pancreas, we have insulin. Okay. What is the function of insulin? Insulin, whatever food we are eating, or carbohydrates, whatever we are eating, it converts that carbohydrates to glucose and store below the liver or below our tissues. Okay. Below our muscles. Correct. This is the function of that. That means it reduces the glucose level. Fine. Now, in case if it is not working, that is called, we are getting into diabetes. There are diabetes are of two types again. Diabetic mellitus and diabetic insipidus. Okay. Now, in diabetes mellitus, you can see many people suffering. Okay. Here, what happens in those cases, the insulin hormone will not work. Okay. In that case, what happens? Whatever food they are eating, it is getting converted to glucose. Once getting glucose, this has to be stored. It is not stored, it is sent into the blood. Okay, that's how the sugar gets into the blood, urine. Okay, and sometimes when you are discussing about the eye, it gets into the eye also. So that results in diabetic retinopathy. That means slowly you lose your vision. Okay, the sugar gets the glucose get accumulated in the eye, vitreous humor. Okay, there is a surgery for that, it's called vitreous vitrectomy. There is a surgery for that. Okay, they will clear that, they have to block all that nerves, blood vessels, and the surgery is done. Okay, now here this is the function here. Now if you see the testosterone is a male secondary sexual character. That means you are matured. When you are mature at the age of 13 or 14 years, when you mature, you will show the secondary sexual characters. That means development of mustache, development of beard, your Adam's apple, and your chest becomes widened. Okay, the muscles become strong. Okay, so and your testes start producing sperms. These are the secondary sexual character of male. In the case of female, there are two hormones here, progesterone and estrogen. Here, in secondary sexual of a female, the chest development takes place, and the hip started widening, and you can see the menstruation cycle starts in the case of female. Till that, you should know of this hormones. Is it clear now? Okay. Now, I'll give you 3 questions now. Make a note. Okay. Now, let me finish up little, sir. I will finish up with the plant hormone. Now, we learned about coordination in animal. Now, let us learn coordination in plants also. Okay. After that, I will give you some questions for you. Okay, coordination in plants. Now what happens in plants? Now, do plants have a nervous system? No, they don't have nervous system, they don't have brain also. Okay, but how the coordination is going on in the plants? By hormones. That means coordination is seen in animals as well as plants. So, in plants, the coordination is controlled by hormone. Is it clear? Now, in plants, coordination takes place by help of hormone. Now, for example, touch me not plant, Mimosa pudica. Mimosa pudica. Okay, this is called touch me not plant. Touch me not plant. Touch me not plant. Okay, here if you see Mimosa pudica, that's touch me not plant. If you just touch the leaves, it try to close. That means it's not having a nervous system, it's not having brain or spinal cord. Correct. But how this is getting connected? That's because of the hormone present in the plant. Is it clear? Now, we'll see now some hormones in the plant. So there are 2 types of hormones in plant. Growth hormone, okay, and inhibitor. Okay, so in growth hormone you have auxins, gibberellins, and you have cytokinins. Is it clear? Now, in the case of inhibitors, abscisic acid, abscisic acid. Okay, these are the inhibitors. Okay, and we have ethylene also. Ethylene also is there. That is I need not write that. Okay, now here what happens here? Ethylene. I'll write up if you want. This is also you should know what is this. Ethylene also is there. So they are called inhibitors. That means they help the plant to grow. These help the plant to suppress. Okay. So now why we are I am showing that also because now you can see in my I am a farmer now. I am growing groundnuts where I should grow only groundnuts. When I am growing groundnuts, along with that you can see some of the grass is also growing. So now I will have to put some hormones to kill the grass. Okay, some weedicides or something I will put. All that they come under inhibitors. Okay, so only I want only the groundnuts to grow, because whatever nutrients I put in the soil, the other plants will take out, other grass will take it out. So I don't want grass to take it out. I want only my plant, whichever specified, whether it's a sugar cane or it is a groundnut or it's a paddy, whatever may be. Okay, so my required this one only will take. Okay, now auxins are nothing but growth hormones. Okay, now for example, if you see sugar cane, this is the sugar cane, this is called the node. Okay, now you have gibberellins here, This gibberellins, if you put this gibberellins in the soil, okay, and you can see the growth increases. That means you can see the nodes are in different levels. Okay, that means the productivity is increased. Here you see it's very close, correct? You can see the nodes are very close in sugarcane, but when you are using gibberellin, okay, you can see the productivity increase, the sugarcane increases in size, the juice also increases more, you get yield also more. Okay, these are the growth hormones. Now, the movement of plant is responsible for various stimuli. It's called trophism. In the plant also, we see some trophism. What is that trophism? We'll see. Now, first one, phototrophism. Phototrophism. Second one is chemotrophism. Third one is stigmotrophism. Fourth one is hydrotrophism. Geotrophism. See, there are many are there. One by one I will just tell you. Now, first one is phototrophism. Phototrophism. Photo means light. Okay. So that means what? They response towards light. Photon. Light means photon. Clear? Now, phototrophism. Next one is geotrophism. Geotrophism. Geo means what? Gravity, soil. Response towards gravity or soil. Okay. Next, geotrophism. Next, chemotrophism. Chemotrophism. Chemo means chemical. Response towards chemical. That means any fertilizer, something you are putting, you can according to that fertilizer the plants are growing. Okay, because they are showing growth because of that chemical. Okay, next, hydrotrophism. Hydrotrophism. Hydro means water. So response towards water. So example, roots, correct? So roots grows towards the soil and absorbs water. Okay, next one is stigmotrophism. I think the current is gone. I will continue it later.